Hi, if you have gotten this, you have probably landed on one of my ads, and I wanted to do a small intro so you knew who I was and that you know I am a real person. I was just gonna, kind of just drop in here and give you a little bit of information about what it is that I am and have become, and how I, am helping people create income online, but also a little bit about me and how I got here. So I am originally from upstate New York. I am a mom of two young girls, and I live now in Los Angeles. I've been here since 1999, if you can believe that. I did leave for a moment in time to go to London, and I'll tell you about that, for about 3 years. But basically, I had finished up grad school out here and never went home and went into the workforce. I went to undergrad and then grad, and I came from a family that, really put a high standard on education and getting a good job. And not that I didn't want to work, but I also, always kind of had this niggle to be an entrepreneur. Even as a kid, I used to lifeguard, and then what I did is I started teaching swim lessons, and then I started teaching private swim lessons, and then I was always kind of doing different jobs for people. Like, I remember I worked at a grocery store, I worked at an ad agency, and I also, worked as a tour guide once, in New York City. I really enjoy working with people and having experiences and having fulfilling work, right? So I got into my first job, and I was like, this is what working is: getting up every day, going into work, asking for time off, like not having enough time off, living for weekends. Like, I had a great job, don't get me wrong. It was really fun. I worked in entertainment, but at the same time, it was a lot of work and I didn't have a lot of freedom, right? I really missed the freedom I had when I was in school. That's why I went to grad school, and I traveled a lot before I actually started working. I lived in several countries. I've lived in Ireland, I've lived in England, or Australia. I hadn't lived in England yet. And so, I was like, there's got to be something more. And I had started doing yoga, and I thought, okay, I think I might teach yoga. So we all got let go from this job, everyone. And I was like, I'm gonna start teaching yoga. And I did, and I succeeded. But I was still trading time for money. I didn't have to ask anyone for time off. I didn't have to, I didn't have to work when I didn't want to work. I was only working about 30 hours a week, but I wasn't making the amount of money I'd like to be making. And I also couldn't take it with me because I got married. And after 5 years of building a business in Los Angeles, my husband at the time lived in London, and I had to move to London. And I wanted to, don't get me wrong. I mean, that was part of the fun of meeting him and getting to move to London, because I love living abroad, but I couldn't take my business with me. And I vowed that the next business I ever built would be something that would have location freedom, on top of creating resources that were actual and could really pay for living in big cities. And also, something that was in the healthcare space, or not healthcare, but health space, and healthy living, and also something that could help other people get to that next level self. I mean, when I got over there, I actually started coaching, or got a coaching certificate. And so there was always something in me that wanted to have my own business, wanted to help people, and definitely wanted location freedom. That's actually why I got the coaching thing, because I was like, oh, I can have phone calls. I don't have to be in a location or have a machine or have a studio, right? Or go to people's homes for this. So I wound up moving back to LA, and I continued to work in the advertising space, because when I got to London, that's where I started. And it was great. It was lucrative, but I had no time. And then I had 2 kids, and I had even less time. And a friend of mine showed up online in a very different way at one point, and I was like, what is she doing? And I was so curious. So I reached out to her. I said, what are you doing? We had met on a yoga retreat, actually, years prior. And she's like, well, have a look at this webinar, tell me what you think. And so I did. And honestly, it lit me up. I was like, this is what I've been looking for, right? It was something that had sustainable income. It was a sustainable product. It was in the health realm. It was like not fitness, and not, something that was so, trendy. It was something that was for you, for your family, for your pets, for your plants, for the earth. I was like, this is amazing. So I was like, okay. And I didn't have to be in one location. I could do it anywhere. It was a global company. So I invested. I was terrified. I didn't know what it was. And I was a little skeptical too, but I was like, you know what? If my friend's doing this, I probably can as well. So if this is still something you're interested in and what you saw in my ad, kind of piqued your interest, I can send you some more information. And if you'd like the next step, I'd be happy to send it to you. It's really, you can't know until you know, and you don't know what you don't know. And I always say, like, if I can do this, you can do this. So have a beautiful day, and I look forward to connecting with you more.